Nerd Soul.
Yeah, late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's go for another episode of Talk Shop. We got Jason Reeves up in here of 133 Art. Make some noise and introduce yourself, my brother. Tell them what you do.
Jason Reeves of 133 Art. You know, I make comics. I draw comics. I do the comic. You know what it is.
Man, and we got Arc 1 of One Nation on deck, and we about to get our review on. So hopefully you've been either reading some of it or reading along. If you haven't read it yet, go read it. Go get the arc on 133art.com. Go get the arc, read that. Come back here because we're going to be spoiling some stuff. We don't want to give everything away. You know what I'm saying? We also want you to join in the conversation. Get in the comments. We want to hear what you think about, you know what I'm saying, Mahoot, or what you think about Paragon, or what you think about General Baker, whatever. I'm going to throw, you know what? As I was reading this book, or these books, because I kind of see them as one book since I kind of read them all together, but it's as I was reading these issues, I like that we didn't take a long time to get to it. I like that we learn on the go. And I also like shows that do that kind of give you flashbacks as you go along. Like they don't have to like spend 5 episodes in the past. Like just kind of like learn as you go. And this first issue of One Nation 1, we start off in the Gulf War. Like we're in there. And we're not wasting time. And we get some Deacon's past, but we're straight to the battle. Like we come in, and one thing I like about the I guess the battle or battles that we get in the first issue is that there's a time of like relaxation, I guess, with the different troops that, you know, Deacon is with, and he's drawing his utopia, like where it's like, hey man, there's not gonna be no war, we ain't gotta worry about nothing, everything's gonna be cool. And one of his like unit mates or whatever is like, his quote is, that's the problem with you building your better world. He says sooner or later it's gonna suit someone to come and tear it all down. And I think that is a harbinger for the rest of the story coming forward. Is that true?
it is. Utopia is a central theme throughout like the entire narrative of the thing. It kind of pops up every now and then, but Paragon's idea of people just kind of being free to explore the world and themselves and what they want to do, and everything kind of being you being able to take it easy is an idea that it resonates with me, man. Like personally, that's why I threw it in there. Why Paragon can draw. Paragon is essentially me, man. He's like, yo, why you gotta be all this?
It doesn't have to be this hard,
right? And the fact that this man joins up and still kind of plays it human in the course of joining up is just him trying to say, yo, like, I want to help. I don't necessarily want to blow up my spot, but I want to help, and I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna fight for this idea that I have in my head. And this is the way he thinks is the best way to do that, you know. So he's there, and he's trying to reconcile this idea of utopia, but also trying to reconcile this idea of war and having to fight, you know, through it. And who's bad? Who's good? Why am I here? You know? So yeah, that's his way of doing that.
And in the book, we get a good look into his psyche about the war, because he's like recounting seeing the advertisements, and anyone, especially if you went to public school, everyone has seen, very interesting, and they've already done studies on this, what high schools they usually go to. I'll just say that they go to the high schools of kids that they feel don't have a chance, or at least think they don't have a chance. So they'll be your chance. But anyway, he recounts seeing these, these images of like, man, I can just go out and help, and I can, do good, and I can do all these things. And of course, knowing that he has the ability to save people, like outside of just humans doing their best, he's like, no, I'm superhuman. I really can. And kind of being, I guess, maybe it's too cynical to say being tricked. Maybe it's too cynical, because this is not a diss on people that join the armed forces, but maybe being a little naive on the full scope of the goal of your government, regardless of where you live, is kind of what hooked him into it. Yeah. But also may have allowed him to fully explore what war is and what he's trying to build from. Right. And I think that's kind of cool, where we see his mindset and then also what he's drawing, but then also having to face that harsh reality. So I appreciate how well you kind of like illustrated where he came from, where he is, all in this first issue, as well as getting a whole bunch of bullets and blood. He's
like be all you can be. That's what I've heard my entire life, right? Mm-hmm. But he's like, in the course of it though, what does that even mean? Because if I be all I can be, then this, might be over quick. But at the same time, my parents always told me, do not do that. So they're gonna take you from us. So I want to help, but dang, man, like, should I be all I can be? And that's kind of that's a part of what the issue is about. And we see that he ends up choosing to actually be all he can be, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and the dominoes fall after that, and it's like, that he realizes there's even bigger dominoes than the dominoes he thought would fall after that. Like, there's even his dominoes he don't even know about.
I mean, honestly, you could look at it in a way, he's been saving people ever since his arrival on Earth. Because in a way, he saved his adoptive parents. I mean, technically they didn't adopt him, because it's not like they went through a real process, but you know what I mean.
There's stories about how that went down the line as well. I have an idea of how he actually becomes their adoptive kid, a realistic way. But
okay.
I want to point out his dad, Cornell Taylor, is a doctor.
Okay.
So there's something that can be fudged.
He's surrounded by these, and it's awesome to see that he's surrounded by, these two people that, even though they are it is when he arrived, it's 70, is it 79 when he comes in? I'm trying to remember the year.
It's in the 70s.
So you're talking about they're in the South, they're in Louisiana. So you're talking about what, maybe
71. I got the book.
So 71. All right, cool. So yeah, let's go on and show it off for a second. I'll break this down what I'm thinking about.
Ooh,
you're talking about two black people,
one nation, number one,
slightly removed from Jim Crow South,
right?
Still in the heart of the South, where the Jim Crow ideals still reign even today. But are able to raise their son to still love people and have a love for people and have a love for this idea of utopia. And I think that's awesome, because they're able to be like, you know what? Yeah, I know you have the power to do all this stuff, but we want to make sure that we can make things better, because that's a bigger fish to fry. Like, right. It's so I think that's awesome, because normally our story of a child arriving is, of course, a Superman, and it's either Superman or some other other entity which is raised by a Ma and Pa Kent type character, and it almost removes, in a weird way, without being able to articulate this properly, in a weird way, it almost kind of removes the idea that someone with the ideals of like truth and justice can be raised from another set of parents, because we've seen the arrival story a few times, and it's never with a set of black parents.
So, and that's why I did it.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. So Cornell and Cornell is like, he's a doctor in the Deep South, and when we catch up with them at this point in time, he's coming back with his wife, and they're being chased by these rednecks, and it's about to go down. Like, this could have went bad. They wrecked the car. You know, a bad thing is about to happen. So yes, he does save them from whatever fate was going to befall them. His egg does, you know, shunt through the sky and create, you know, the circumstances that save his parents. So yes, he's a hero from the jump. But the fact that he's raised in these surroundings, when you're raised in these surroundings, because I'm from Louisiana, I was raised in New Orleans. Racism is there, you know, structural, microaggressive, you know, just punch you in the face racism be down there too, like all of that. But your parents, if you have, you know, fairly decent parents, they raise you to have hope, you know, especially if you're raised like Christian, you know, those, you know, you're in church every Sunday, those kind of values, man. I think, you know, good people are trying to raise you to have good values. And that's what Deacon has, man. Deacon was raised by people around other black people too. That's another thing about the South. You're not, depending on where you are, my particular surroundings was predominantly black, right? So those people love each other, right? Like, so if your surroundings are filled with love, then you grow up being filled with love. But also, if you grow up, you know, beneath the poverty line, you wonder why it is the way it is, you know. And then I think with Deacon, he's like, man, why are we poor? You know, my dad's a doctor. Why don't we have any money? He has his own practice, but he's getting paid with chickens or corn, you know, that kind of thing. And we're like, and then he has to go out of his comfort zone to care for people, and he might get chased back by rednecks if you in the country, which is where his cat is raised. So he's like, why is it the way it is, and why can't it be different? Now, when you're 19, 20, which Paragon is in this issue, you're like, dude, like, I want to create something. I hope somebody creates something that can get us out of this. And that's the impetus behind him, you know, kind of drawing and thinking about utopia in those ways. But yeah, he's raised with love, so he has a love mindset, man. He doesn't know how to get to a place where everybody can have a love mindset, but he's gonna try his best, and that's how his parents raised him.
Cool. I did want to note there's an issue called because in the first issue we see how he saves his unit that are in danger, and in this issue it's like a standalone battalion, One Nation Safe House, which recounts the issues, or the instance of issue 1, but in a way where I'm like, hold on.
Not a recount. It's more like a day in the life of him.
Because I thought Safe House is what happened during issue 1, but just like a closer up close version of it.
No, it doesn't happen during issue 1. So it's like a couple days after, a week after. You know, it's like
gotcha.
So for, let's say, a year, 6 months to a year after his reveal as a superhuman, he's still at war. Like, but he's doing the Clark Kent Superman thing while being a soldier now, right? So he's running and gunning on behalf of the U.S. government still in the Middle East, right?
Okay.
Safe House is a day in the life of what happens when you're a superhero at war, basically. Now, some of that stuff ties in, like
that issue is crazy.
Ties into One Nation: The Gauntlet in a couple different ways as well.
Yes, and the reason I wanted to remark on Safe House is because it happens during the course of like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's fast.
So it's a cool way of illustrating like how dope Paragon is. Like he settles this issue in 2 minutes, and it reminds me of when we were talking about the movie Black Adam. Yep,
right.
One Nation Safe House. I love that cover too. Like I always love the eyes with electricity.
Max Amen did that cover. Another homie on the team. Like, good job,
cool.
Max.
Yeah, the electricity in the eyes always works for me, man. Always. But similar to when we were talking about Black Adam, like you talked about how you love how super speed is like a go-to.
Yeah.
And like he doesn't like, he's like, yo, why am I like, y'all aren't fast, I am. So like why am I to waste my time doing other stuff? And when you look at the issue, because at first I'm reading the issue and I'm like, well, why are the time codes here? So I got like 3 pages in and I was like, oh, hold on, let me go back. Let me see when this time starts. And it starts at 10:36 and it ends at 10:38. So in 2 minutes and maybe like a little bit of change, he settles like an issue with, I don't know, like 10, 12 gunmen. It's tons of people with guns. It's pandemonium, but he just comes in like, oh, I got this. No, don't worry. And it further illustrates what we see in the first issue of kind of like this sort of him becoming the face of the military without becoming the face of the military, if I can kind of like, you know, because it's not like he's stubborn like I'm Captain America. But then he wore the flag, but he wore the flag initially just to hide his face. Right. And then, you know, it kind of stuck.
The brilliant marketing people or, you know, propaganda people, I'm sure, took that and made it something else, right? Like this was just the only face cover he had around at the beginning, but now he's, you know, the face of the U.S. military or whatever. And because he's working on their side, because he thinks that's the good side, you know, we use it for recruiting. I mean, that's the way propaganda works.
Yeah.
So,
because I remember, I mean, we came up at similar times. I remember like the Navy and the Marines commercials and stuff. I remember that, you know, the dudes in the suits with the swords and the, you know, the drummer boy in the background. Like, I remember those things. Yeah, and on the real, I almost joined with a friend of mine until I read the finer details. You don't get to go to college for what you want to go to college for. They choose what you go to college for. Really? At least at that time, they choose. I was like, so after I, you know, do whatever I got to do, I don't get to go. He was like, well, no, it's based on your station. That's what you go to. I was like, oh. I was like, all right, never mind. I was like,
I have a homeboy.
I thought I was going to get some free. I was going to get like a free animation degree out of him or something. But they was like, nah. They was like, you go based on whatever your station is based on. Like if you're in artillery, you're going to do something that helps support artillery. You ain't just going. You ain't going to get your little psychology degree, your little business degree.
I don't know if it's still the same, but one of my best friends, my homeboy, shout out to
in 99, 2000, it was like that. At least when I was in Virginia for the Navy, that's what it was like. That's what he said.
Shout out to my homeboy Dedrick, who consulted on a couple of these issues too. He's a 2-time vet. He went to Iraq twice, back in the day, and he ended up going to school. He's in school now, doing his thing as a vet. Yeah, man, that stuff happens fast. So I kind of, you know, wanted to speak to that. I was also inspired by like Cloverfield and found footage stuff at the time, like Blair Witch and stuff like that. I was like, man, nobody has done that in superheroes. So I was like, what would a day look like where we got the helmet cam, and like what would that look like? And so I kind of came up with this idea, like, man, what if yet again these soldiers get in trouble and they're watching this safe house. This war criminal has his people in this safe house, and they've taken American hostages, and their job is to gather intel. And Deacon is one of the guys. You don't see him because he's supposed to be like carrying like ordnance or something. And when the stuff goes down, they're like, "Where the hell is Deacon?" The Deacon is doing his phone booth thing at the time. He's like, "Oh, it's going down."
He's like, "I got thrown away from the blast," and
Yeah, like he's doing the Clark Kent thing. So during the course of those 2 minutes, these dudes are holding it down. Though I will give these two soldiers credit, these 2-3 guys credit. Like they held it down for as long as they could, and then Paragon swoops in and he saves his boys again. And this safe house gets taken down, and Paragon drags the head guy out, and I love the end where it's like, I'm gonna need this cameo, and then he's gone. Like, so Paragon,
like, have a good one, guys.
Yeah, he's actively trying to protect his identity, but he's not gonna shy away from helping his people. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something fast paced. And what's crazy is it happens in a couple minutes, but the book is like 40 something pages.
Yeah, it's because it kind of gives you sort of like a sort of like beat by beat play of what's going on, and it's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool the way it plays out. I like that. And even like the statement at the beginning, you get like a look into like what's going on in the world. It's a lot of fun.
Pages. It's 56 pages of found footage. So it's a big.
And the issue in Safe House that I like is it also shows that he's ruffling feathers at all levels. Yeah. Like there's even like I believe it's in One Nation 2, or maybe it's, I'm trying to remember if it's One Nation 2 or not. It might be One Nation 2 where the character he comes into Kuwait, and basically he's like sitting there to even the score for his dad and everything and all that. But
issue 3. Even
like the average, I guess the local mob or whatever, he's like messing it up for them too. So it's very funny how inserting someone who's good with the power to do good. Notice I say with the power, because a lot of people are like, why don't you just stop this? Ain't nobody listening to me. But someone who's good with the power to do good, notice how it upsets everything.
Yes.
Everything. It upsets the government. It upsets secret societies. It upsets the average bad guy on the corner. Like everyone's up. It upsets everyone and all of their like little, organizations and all of their little plans, just by doing the right thing, just by helping people out.
But then there's the question though, is it all the right thing? Like during the course of doing the right thing, like, so we see in issue 1 these two insurgents who are definitely like bombing the hell out of our unit there, our American unit. But then these guys are young guys too, and they're protecting what they think is right, So have we done the right thing? And then Paragon, does his right thing, and it ends up creating a whole nother monster, because this young cat is the brother of that cat in issue 3. That's why he's there. You killed my brother. Yeah. So these situations are super complex.
Which is a good thing to tackle in this book.
Right. So you've created another situation. Paragon doesn't even, this is beneath his notice at this point, but it could be a problem at some point.
Yeah, right? Even we see Deacon come back to New Orleans. He's kind of building a little community, because he's like, look, another thing, once again, he said, I took all my money that I saved, I'm gonna build this community. Once again, we have a good person with the power to do something. But most of the time, you don't have any power to do anything. So he actually has the power to do something. And he's starting to build his community, which I think is awesome. But it's also transposed or like juxtaposed, against everything in LA. The King trial is having this verdict. You got random stops and stuff that Sundiata actually gets involved in.
Dr. Harlan has just been killed. LA is
because that was the whole inspiration for the Ice Cube song Black Korea. Now I know, right. Ice Cube, I know we just talk about the song Black Korea. I know, look, hey, Cube, you're on your own, dog. I'm just saying this. So, but the song, the inspiration for Black Korea was everything that went down in LA at that time, and people were understandably and justifiably angry. And we see the heroes, the people, and the system clash in a very well written way. And just thank you for that. It's awesome where all these sides, even we see the shop owners, because back then I remember seeing on tape the shop owners that were taking up arms in their own shops and shooting at people that were that were protesting and rioting, because there was a lot mixed in. And I know there'll be people that are of different mindsets, but there's a justifiable reason to riot. There is. I'm not going to act like I'm not going look down my nose at rioters like they're not mad for nothing. But at the same time, I do understand why those shop owners were also taking up arms. So it's cool to see all of those. Like, you got the cops, mixed in with good and bad cops. You got the heroes. You got the people that are just, some people are angry. Some people just want to start stuff. Because I think General Baker calls them anarchists. And I'm like, these aren't anarchists. These are people that have been talking about police violence ever since police began. Right. And now it's on tape. And even I myself, I believe I was in 4th or 5th grade. And I remember asking my mother, I remember being like, Mom, we see it. How can this be? Like it's right here. And she just had to sit me down and be like, it's going to be like this. Right?
And then I wanted to deal with the idea that the propaganda, again, man, that word keeps showing up. Propaganda tells you, why are these people harming their own communities? And I remember back in the 90s that I was a kid, so please don't kill me. But I felt that. I was like, but why would you burn down a store in your neighborhood? That's crazy. As a kid and as an adult who's has some experiences with racism and understands protecting what you love, but also understanding nothing there, right?
Yeah, to all those people that was mad in 2020, Target ain't black owned. Exactly. CNN ain't black owned. No.
Structural racism has things that come into your community and makes money off of you, takes everything, and then goes back somewhere else. So you on the surface, yes, it's their community, but they don't own nothing. What do they benefit from it in the first place? You know what I'm saying? So because whatever they can take, they take. And if you ain't giving them no money, they ain't worried about if your kid's going to college or if your kids are even alive a lot of times. So I wanted to deal with both of those mindsets. As you see, there's a part in the issue where Paragon is like swooping in, doing his Paragon thing. And a lot of times you'll see in previous issues when Paragon swoops, you know, people are like, yo, it feels like a good thing. Like Paragon swoops in, I'm Paragon, dun, 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 and then people are like,
yo,
shut up.
People are like, they're calling, yo, first, okay.
Man, sit your ass down.
Yo, because Paragon like comes in, it's funny because Paragon is not, okay, to a certain degree, Paragon is a cop.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No,
at least at this point in his journey.
If I'm in the hood, you a cop, partner. Like,
yeah, ain't nobody trying to see no American flag right now. You kidding me?
Not on some real stuff. Like, okay, you go overseas with that craziness, but you come here.
They ain't trying to hear that. And then it's like, everybody stop, go back to your home. They ain't trying to hit it. And somebody calls him a white boy. All right. So this is part in the issue where someone called him a puppet and another person called him a white boy. Yeah. And that joke was hilarious.
I was thinking about it though. Imagine you hear about a super soldier overseas lifting tanks over his head, right? And you grow up in the hood, man. You grow up in, your neighborhood or whatever as a black kid, and okay, that's foreign stuff though, right? Like, I don't know what that is. Like, not like talking about it. I mean, it's popular, it's famous. Man, I would love to see the dude that can fly or whatever. But other than that, that's not dealing with your day-to-day. So you ain't tripping off that. But he come to your neighborhood and he swoop down and tell you wrong. But
yeah, and no, not only are you wrong, but coming and getting in your way in a conversation that he's not a part of, hasn't been a part of.
And again, we don't know his identity.
Yeah, they don't know he's black. They ain't got no idea.
Break links. Even the military at this point don't know who he is, and he's been going to lengths to conceal his identity because he has that fear. So if there was a person that could lift tanks over his head, because we've been propagandized and structural racism and especially in the West, what color would you think he was?
I'd be like, that dude a white dude, because I'd be like, he ain't helped nobody black out. He white. He a white dude. Gotta be a white guy.
So I was so when I wanted to play with that. Like, I was like,
that was perfect, man. That was perfect.
Like,
they called him a puppet. I was like, yeah, because that's how they would see him.
I personally would not think that was a black dude. I'd be like, there ain't no black dude. And I find it hilarious because I'm writing it. I find it hilarious that he is literally a black dude from the poorest parts of Louisiana.
Yep. And he thinks the trip is he thinks he's helping. And it's like, bruh, first thing, we got a mad valid reason to be mad. So what I'm gonna need you to do is back up, or you gonna get this smoke too. Because right now, cops been beating us up. They've been flying these helicopters. They've been locking us up left and right. Then these shops, they've been treating us like trash. But since we ain't got nowhere to go, this is the only place I got to shop. Because if I try to set a foot in, let's say Culver City, Century City, Beverly Hills, something like that, the second I set a foot in that joint, they asking whether I'm working somewhere or I need to leave. So this is the only way I got to shop. Oh, why don't you open your own place? I can't. Structural racism stops us from opening our own shops in our own neighborhoods. So now this is the only place I can shop. And when I go there, I get treated by trash from people that look like that person. And you come in here to tell me that I'm wrong? Bruh, if you don't get your puppet Americanized, and then he got the super American outfit on too, bruh. Like, yeah. I be trying to have love for Paragon, but in that moment I was like, "Dang, you do got the full America
Homelander right now." Like, and not in. Look, we not
accepting the Falcon cap gear on and all that. Oh man,
at that point he is Falcon in front of the TV cameras talking about
we all can change.
About all lives matter. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when Falcon got up there with that little stern talking he gave everybody.
I was like, it's too good and not to write that. Like, it's too good. Not like just so I like to put myself in the mindset of who the people in these scenes, and I was like, that's too good. That's too good.
That was, bruh. That when I read that, I was like, you know what? That's perfect. And even his response was like, white boy.
He was like, oh wait, hold on, what?
He was like, hold on, wait, they calling me white in these streets.
And Sundiata says something really cool in issue 5. He says it's funny how power dynamics lean that way. Like, it's funny how when someone has power, we automatically think he's a white boy.
Yeah, you know? And even to Sundiata, when everything kind of comes to a head in LA, and he has his speech in front of the cameras, and it's been playing. They say that it's been playing for days or whatever. The first thing Baker says is that you should have been out there in front of the cameras. Is this very like almost kind of like, you know, like we had to make sure that that was your moment, and you know, not it's like no, this is the people's moment. Like right. even he realizes like, nah, man, they had this. They, you know, they had this under control. It was cool. But no, Baker was like, this was our moment to assert our player in the position of moral authority.
Right.
And you know, it's
my man,
very funny how he called the 10th the Army without even knowing them. He don't know them, and all we know of them is that they saved some people from a burning building, and yeah, that's it. They saved people from burning building, and they stopped the rioters. They stopped the rioters from getting shot.
They moved some cars out the way so that the EMTs and emergency services could get through. That all we know of them, they stopped the gas station from blowing up. Yeah. You know,
they're always saving people.
And that's what they do. Indira stops these store owners from shooting these protesters. You know, they've been the whole night. They're saving people. Again, I am actively revising history with the use of these superheroes in One Nation. So what turned out to be billions of dollars in destruction and several people getting killed or hurt, it turns out to be just a night where these people step in, these people who have power step in and for the good, and they maintain the city. And whatever destruction that is wrought, you see them at the end of the issue. They're helping rebuild. You see Reginald Denny in issue 2. He's about to get killed. And who steps in? Sundiata. You tell him, nah, young brother, this ain't the way. You know, don't do that. Don't do this. Like, and even in real life, they quoted Reginald Denny talking about it, and he was like, they try to make it seem like a black-white thing. He said, but what people didn't report on was the fact that, yeah, this dude tried to kill me, this black cat tried to kill me, but black people saved me too. So again, that slant reporting, that propaganda, you know, showing this, rearing this ugly head. And, you know, all of this is a commentary on that. But you have these black people with power who know. They know. So when Sundiata steps in, he says what needs to be said, I think.
Yeah. He's like talking about bridging and what we all dealing with and stuff like that. Even when what is it? There's a part where Paragon says something like, this isn't how you get things to change, and like Sundiata's like, no, this is exactly how you get things to change. Yes. Like in 2020, before 2020, all we heard is like, oh well, cops just can't go to jail, man. Hey, you know, what can you do? What can you do? And we can't change any laws because it's just like it's just too hard. And then all of a sudden, laws were written and changed, but nobody went to a ballot box in 2020. Nobody went to a ballot box. So apparently laws can change. But unfortunately, you got to do something like $20 billion of damage to a city for it to happen. Unfortunately, you got to do that. You could just do right, but I mean, I guess you gotta set a police department on fire, tear a whole bunch of stores up, then people will change the law. But don't get me started.
It's my well, first of all, you got to be doing it for a righteous cause. Also,
yeah, true.
That out because people bust stuff up a lot of times.
Yeah, true.
We know who they are. January 6th after the sporting event.
Nobody went to jail.
That don't. Well, a couple people did go to jail. Well,
but when I mean nobody went to jail, what I mean is no one of note and no one who actually kind of inspired these events has seen any real consequences.
Not yet, but
he said not yet. There's hope.
And I'm usually pragmatic about these kind of things. So, but I am a strong believer of letting the bad blood out. Let's let it play out. But cool. I will say you're right in that sense, right? And Sundiata knows this, right? So it's like it gets. The structural racism gets soul crushing sometimes, and we forget about power dynamics, yo. Power dynamics, numbers are a big thing in power dynamics, and we tend to forget about the numbers aspect of it, and we should never forget about the numbers aspect. Enough people yelling at a situation can and will change it.
Which was smart with Thrice sending everybody. And even I think we kind of get an idea of how her powers work, or I guess all of her powers work, because she's kind of like who are the girls, the White Queen clones, girls. Oh yeah, like it's kind of like that, I guess. But she even talks about I guess how long it'll take, or how hard it is to push all of those people. But when it happens, you see, and of course that's right before Paragon gets called a white boy. But you see kind of an eye into, or a little bit into how her powers work and how she is able to move this many people. But it's also kind of taxing as well. Yeah. So I thought it was cool.
It's taxing a whole city of people who are under crazy duress.
It's they're already angry, but then it's also great because these people are filled with righteous anger. But we need someone like Sundiata to come in and be like, okay, we all mad, but we got to use this. We got to direct this anger in the right spot, because if we don't, they'll just call us crazy on the news and go home. Yep. So I see that part too. You know what I'm saying? Because it does get angering to be like, everybody just calm down. It's like, no, I don't want to calm down. But then I also understand, all right, we got to make sure that we shoot this arrow in the right spot, because if we don't, they're going to come on MSNBC, they're going to call us crazy, and then we'll be crazy because they have the largest platform, and then everybody will go home without even ever listening to us.
Sundiata didn't come to admonish. Sundiata came to validate. He knew what it was. True. That was his point the whole time. Sundiata told him they was right. He said, you was right. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else would have wagged their finger, but Sundiata's not that kind of cat.
They would have went to an Atlanta press conference, and after making numerous albums of protests and fight the power, and then tell everybody, and then wag their finger at everybody. Man, black celebrities, y'all be hurting, man. Y'all be hurting us, man.
I'm telling you, they be killing us, man.
But all right, back to sort of the gauntlet side of things, because there's an issue called the gauntlet, and it opens up a whole new world of Paragon with this hunt for Paragon by Evers and whoever it might be. What is it? The
River Dark.
The Shade in the Rock, and whoever else is involved in this kind of hunt for him with the Lieutenant Seldom. Mm-hmm. So you get Lieutenant Commander Seldom, who's used from Evers to kind of hunt down Paragon, even though I think Evers already knows, like, y'all ain't gonna make it. I ain't gonna have to spend this $5 million.
He don't care. He definitely don't care.
Like, he probably got it, but he like, I ain't gonna have to spend this. But we open this world into this supernatural aspect of like, oh, hold up, this is so we getting deeper. So we got secret societies, and we got some, because he talks about the negative energy, most specifically dread energies, and the Nix Cryptus, and how the energy from like horrific events kind of get tied to spots, almost like I can't what they call them, like nexus points or whatever, of like psychic energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, you mean ley lines.
Ley lines, yeah. So it's very cool to have that opened up, because I was reading, I was like, oh, another layer, okay. And so again, the way Evers planned that is it shows that he is very formidable, and whoever he's working for is well prepared.
They're quick studies. So when Paragon comes on the scene, general public wise, nobody knows what this stuff is, right? But these people catch up quick, and Evers is brilliant, quick as a whip. Yeah. Like, he is one of the smartest people in the series, you know, if we're talking brain power. So don't underestimate Evers at all. But yeah, he's a quick study, and like it's very negative energies versus positive energies, right? So obviously for every negative there's a positive, and you know, it's almost cliche to the point that people have addressed the idea that negative emotions, negative events, negative energies can tie themselves to objects. And so the idea is, if the Karamats are often positive energy tied to an individual, then the reverse is a Nix Cryptus, negative energy tied to an object, right? And these things often cancel each other out. So in figuring that out, and people have figured this out before Evers. Again, if you read One Nation Old Druids, you'll get a deeper understanding of Nix Cryptus. Sundiata knows this, right?
Okay.
Paragon, this is Paragon's first experience with Nix Cryptus, and you know,
all right, I'm gonna have to get that old druids. I'm gonna get up on that.
You gotta get some old druids in your life. Especially if you want to delve into the mystical aspect of One Nation, old druids is where you start. And then you jump to Black Lotus, also deals with Nix Cryptus in a pretty cool way.
Okay, cool.
So again, secret societies are running through One Nation back and forth all the time. It's gonna there is a point to it. Y'all gonna get it. But yeah, so Evers is like finding these objects of eldritch energy, or that contain or have been affected by eldritch energy, and it's supposed to take Paragon out. It's supposed to take any Karamat out. It is effectively kryptonite to those with powers. Yeah.
I word. Well, I guess before I wrap up, I want to talk about the idea of Project, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to mess up this name because I'm not German, but Project Mitternacht or Mitternacht.
Yeah, Mitternacht. Yeah.
I am really psyched for this because it seems like, I guess the shade and the rock is sitting on this, because the writing is very cagey about who is it, because there's a young lady down there with the pod that he's like in stasis in.
She is up there, actually. It's in the satellite.
Oh, it's in the satellite. Oh, yeah. See, I thought she was underground. Oh,
the same satellite that that is watching Paragon that he can see is the satellite that houses the monster. Or
so you know what I'm saying? Space. Read my lips. MARS. but this project has some cool historical ties, because I love like the sort of like the historical tie and like how it's like, oh, okay, that could be feasible. And then the fact that we've like never seen this, it's very cool how you tie it into like Germany, the whole, I guess, the Third Reich, the Hitler of it all, and then also it's kind of shelving of the project.
I like finding obscure historical things that have happened. Like everybody always goes to, especially when they touch Nazis, they go to, you know, or World War II rather, they go to Normandy or they go to the Blitzkrieg and, you know, whatever. So I like to find the more obscure events and then kind of tie them in, you know, to that kind of thing. Like if we're going back to the Gauntlet, it talks about these Nyx cryptices are tied to more obscure events in history that give them their power over the Caravans. But yeah, so that event was an event that was a precursor to something that gave Hitler more power or whatever. And then, you know, they send the monster down, or something that might have stopped Hitler or messed up his plans, and they send the monster down, and it, you know, whatever. It helps it helps them rather than it hurts them. And they, you know, there's the idea that Hitler is cataloging these artifacts and keeping them, you know, he has a thing for the occult. Well, that's just One Nation playing into that idea.
Yeah. And I guess my question before we bounce is, will we get a further explanation of Project Midnight, and how long will it be? Maybe this will be too much of a spoiler. How long will it be before that project touches down?
Well, I'll be a little spoilery and say Project
I'm ready
Midnight,
for at least a round one.
Project Midnight is a deterrent, right?
Okay.
It is a powerful deterrent. So in order for the deterrent to be used, there has to be a catalyst for the deterrent to be used. Now, Right now, Paragon is under thumb still, right? Like,
there's no reason to. It's like we got him, but we ain't gonna pull the trigger yet.
Baker still has his ear, even though every now and then, you know, like in issue 2, you see him say, you know, how would you even stop me? Or in issue, you know, in issue 3, he's like, in issue 3, he's like, yeah, you talking about them like that because they're different. Like, no, that was their moment. You know, like there's a little pushback. In issue 3, he also says, they don't trust me, and I don't trust their ass either. Right? Like, so there's been a little pushback, a little push and pull between Paragon and the U.S. government, or rather his liaison Baker. But you know, if he get out of line, there may be a deterrent waiting for him that he might not like. You know, so.
But I guess also to that point, that deterrent may not be something that the people that release it can fully control.
Well, they've hinted at it as much, right? Like, can they? Like, I'm gonna let y'all read for yourselves, but issue 4 kind of deals with that. Like, can they control that deterrent? And we still don't know how powerful that deterrent is. We know. So what we know is Paragon can lift military vehicles over his head, and so can this thing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they've both been proven in military, you know, hardware cases where they've come out on top. So I guess we could say they're evenly matched, but we don't know.
Because for a second, it seemed like the street ambush was hurting Paragon a little bit, but he was like, no, I'm good.
Well,
he was like, oh, that punch kind of hurt. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let me settle this real fast.
Yeah. Which is a, I say to his credit, you smart. You smart.
So with that said, tell people where they can. Oh, go ahead.
But again, we start to see as the story goes on that yes, Paragon is the most powerful from the outset, but is he the most powerful? Like
things could change.
And then socially, we see, is he the most powerful? Because he's taking hits socially too. Like, yo, white boy, shut up. Like,
yeah. And when he reveals himself, will it be a situation where people are like, yo, man, if you was black all this time, dot.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Well, yo, first I want to say thank you for giving me a chance to check out the issues. Arc 1 is awesome, and I kind of like. So Arc 2 is finished now, right?
Arc 2 is considerably less issues. Arc 2 is 3 issues.
Okay, cool. So cool.
Or roughly 3 issues. I'm considering making issue 6 a big giant issue. I like to just do big giant issues. I'm considering it. So Arc 2 is issue 5, 6, and potentially 7. If not, Arc 2 will be 2 issues, but it's a lot of pages. It is, I want to say, close to 80 pages. Arc 2 is. So it's still big. Okay. It just might not be that many issues. And it is really close to being finished. I would say right now, 30%.
Okay. Nice.
35. Nice. Yeah. So you'll get Arc 2, I want to say maybe like first quarter 2024 we'll start.
All right, so spring 2024, man.
We'll get issue 5 this month, but then issue 7 will come behind that. Could be Christmas, could be first quarter 2024. We're still.
All right, y'all, man. Look, y'all better go in and get this Arc 1. Read up, get ready, jump in the comments. Let's go in and talk about some good old One Nation, because we got a lot of conspiracy. We got some good guys, we got some bad guys, we got some bad-ish guys. So I'm hyped. I'm gonna throw it to Jason Reeves. Final thoughts on just the creation of One Nation, and where can they find you?
You can find us at 133art.com. That's the hub. Arc 1 is available right now up there. We're gonna bundle it up as well really soon. Also, yeah, man, my final thoughts are, I'm just excited that Arc 1 is done and that we can read and talk about the events, because these ideas have been swirling around in my head, Alverne's head, Robert Jeffrey's head for so long, and we've been going back and forth about them. And finally, man, I get to talk about it, because man, we've been seeding these things for so long, and man, Arc 2 is gonna blow it up even further, because like we've just seen the tip of the iceberg of what the 10th can accomplish. Yo, I'm so excited. So please read Arc 1 and get ready for Arc 2, because it's gonna take it even further.
That's what's up. So, of course, with that said, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Until the next time that you try to break up a riot and they call you a puppet. Until the next time that you go into a coffee shop and somebody gives you a sleeping agent that also takes you away from here. And until the next time that you think that you doing right, but then people tell you that they don't need your help and get up out of here with your American outfit wearing self.
Listen to the oppressed first.
This is from us to you saying peace.
Peace.